there, my name is Kelly Dale and I'm owner of Off the Beaten Path, which is located in Forest City, North Carolina. A few years ago, when I was first getting started on YouTube, Carol Cipher was amazing, and she kind of helped me get my start on YouTube without even realizing it by letting me do videos from her book, Mastering Beadwork. And there's my book. This was the book right here. It's no longer, if I recall right, it's no longer actually in print, but you can find it on Amazon.com, or if you can look up, you might could find it at a local bead store. I can't get them anymore. But this was a wonderful book. One of the very first projects that I did was a project from her book called the Dutch Spiral Bracelet. For many of you who followed my YouTube channel, you may remember this bracelet here. It had these great little fringe on the end that you clasp, and it was great. I love it. If you've not seen the video, you can go back to our channel and go to some of our older videos to see it. But basically, I wanted to kind of pick back up because I've been doing for the last year pretty much sets. Necklace, bracelets, earrings, whatever I could do, because that's what a lot of people kind of give me feedback that they liked. So with this one, this was a really popular video for us. I had just done the bracelet. So what I want to show you today is how to make a necklace that you can make to go with the bracelet. So if you've not done Dutch Spiral in a while, this will be a good refresher for you. I actually love Dutch Spiral because to me it's a quick stitch with immediate results, and I really, really like it. A lot of people ask me, what's the difference between Dutch Spiral and tubular peyote? In Dutch Spiral, your spiral is always kind of ahead of you. It's almost going in a clockwise motion, so it's always going ahead of your beads. With peyote, tubular peyote, your beads are forming this spiral behind the beads that you are adding. So they're kind of going in a counterclockwise position. So that's the biggest difference between a Dutch Spiral and a peyote stitch. The thing I love about Dutch Spiral is you can really make it your own. What I'm going to show you today is how to do an increasing and decreasing Dutch Spiral, and I will kind of go through some of the different things that you can do as you get closer. But the other thing I like is it takes very few different kinds of beads. For my necklace today, for a 17-inch necklace, I'm going to use about 210 4mm bicones, 20 grams of a size 11 seed bead. So if you've got a regular tube of seed beads, this is my 11, it's going to take about 3/4 of the tube. If you're doing your size 8 seed bead, you're going to need about 15 grams, which is about a half of the tube. You're going to need a toggle, is what I used on my original sample, but I'm actually going to use a button on this one so that you can see how I did a button, but you'll be able to see the toggle, and it's basically kind of the same thing. You also need 2 6mm round beads. This is going to be for the very end of the bracelet or the necklace. I'm using a size 10 beading needle, and I'm using Wildfire for this project. It is the 10-pound, but it has a 0.06 diameter, which is the same diameter as your 6-pound Fireline. So even though it's a 10-pound, it still has a smaller diameter. So this is what I used. I really liked using it for this specific project. You can definitely use the Fireline, as long as you can find the 10-pound that is about the same size diameter as your 6-pound. That's the biggest thing. So I'm going to start out with 3 yards of thread onto my needle. It's going to take about 9 yards to do this necklace. So I've already got my needle threaded with the 3 yards of thread, and you'll want to do that too to kind of get you started. You will have to add thread, so don't start out with 9 yards or you will be saying some really nasty words, okay? So get your materials together and then we'll get started. The first thing you'll want to know is how I call different things on my pattern. I call the 11 your A, the 8 your B, and the 4mm is your C. And I know I've totally got that in the wrong order, but it's me doing it, so just bear with me. To start off, you want to thread on one C, two A, and two B. So one C, two A, and two B. You're going to let those fall. You want to leave about an 8-inch tail on the end of it, so that way as you work you can go back and add the clasp on the end. I'm going to take the needle, and from the tail upward I'm going to go back through the 5 beads again. I'm going to hold the tail here in my left hand, and if you're right-handed, you're going to do everything exactly the same, just doing it with your left hand. Once you've gone through all the beads, then you're going to go through the 4mm bicone, your C bead. So that way you have your tail coming out. Holding it this way, my tail is coming out of the left side, my working thread is coming out of the right side. You want to pick up, I'm going to see if I can get in a little bit here so you can see what I'm doing. You want to pick up 2A and 1B. So 2A and 1B. Pass through the first B in the previous round. So I'm coming out of the 4mm. I'm going to skip the 2 A's and go through the B. And when you pull it, try and make sure that the beads kind of sit on top like this. You want to thread on 1B, and you're going to go through the very next B. And then thread on 1C, which is your 4mm bicone, and pass through the C. So I'm going right through the 4mm bicone. So I'm picking up a C, which is my bicone, and going through a C, which is my bicone. The first one you add is not going to lay great, okay? It's going to lay like a hot mess, but that's completely okay because these next few will straighten it up and then you'll be good to go. Ah! I can done tell I'm going to have to take this ring off. Okay, thread on 3A. So you want 3A and 1B. Pass through the first B from the previous round. So as I come around my circle, the first B is always going to be the B right after the 2 or however many A's you'll have on there. It's always going to be that 8 right after the 11s. And these first couple, it'll take you a minute to start to see the spiral, okay? So don't worry. Thread on 1B and pass through the B that's sticking up. This will also be the middle B of your 3. So you see you've got a set of 3 here. The one you're going to be going through is the one that's kind of sticking out right here, or that middle one. Thread on 1C, which is your 4mm, and go through the very next C. So I'm just going to go through that very next 4mm. Now don't take and flatten it out. It's going to start to dome up as you work. So I'm just kind of holding it just like this. I'm not flattening it or anything like that. I'm going to repeat the steps for 11 more rows so that I'll have a total of 12 sets that have this little bridge of 3. So what I do is I go ahead and I count out 11 more beads, C's I should say. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. And this is a very valuable tip because I promise you, you will lose count, and this is much easier than having to count all these beads each time. So to get back started, we pick up 3 A's and 1 B. I'm going to go through the next B sticking up, which is the one after my A's. Pick up 1 A and go through the next B sticking up, which if I hold it like this, you can see it's going to be, see this one sticking kind of out right here, but I hold it up this way, you can see the same thing. It's sticking out right there. It's the middle one. And then pick up one C, so I'm going to pull that out of my little pile down here and go through the next C. I'm going to continue. So again, 3 A's and 1 B. Take and go through the next size 8 seed beater, your B, which is going to be the one right after the A's. Pick up 1 B. And I'm going to go through the next B sticking up, which is this one right here. One C, and go through the next C. I'm going to do this one more time for you. You want 3 A's, 1 B. I'm going to come to the next B, which is the one right after my A's. Pick up 1 B and go through the next B sticking up, which is going to be this bead right here. So I'm going to hold it all different directions here so you can kind of see where I'm at. I'm coming out of this one here. I'm going to skip one and go through one, which is the one that's sticking up. And then I'm going to pick up 1 C and go through the next C. And you will want to continue. Let's see, I still have 2, 4, 6, 8. So I have 8 left. So I'm going to do 8 more rows exactly like what I've just done. So you can see my spiral has started. And it's starting to actually look like something. So go ahead and do those, and then I'll show you the next step. Once you have the 12 repeats finished, this is what your piece should look like. It should be about 1 inch long. And you can really see that you have a nice spiral going on here. Now you're ready to do an increase. So here we have 3 beads on our bridge. I'm going to count out 12 4 millimeters. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. This will tell me how, you know, I'm on my repeats. So I'm going to pick up 4 A's and 1 B this time. And continue just like I normally would, but instead of picking up the 3 A's for the bridge, I'm picking up 4 A's for the bridge. And I'm going to continue just like I normally would. It's just now, like I said, instead of doing 3 beads on the bridge, like it's right here, now you're going to have 4 beads. Did I pick up 3 or 4 there? Oh, I picked up 3. Okay. So I'm going to have to pull this out, but you're going to pick up 4 beads for the bridge, not 3, like I just said. Bless my heart. Okay, so let me give you the lowdown on kind of how this goes. The first repeats we did 12 that had 3 A's on our bridge. Then you want 12 more rows that have 4 A's on your bridge. 12 rows that have 5 A's. I guess you're starting to see a pattern. 12 with 6 and 12 with 7. So we did 12 with 3. Now you want to do 12 with 4, 12 with 5, 12 with 6, and 12 with 7. So your bridges, here you've got a short bridge, then your bridge is going to get a longer, and then a little longer. So each time you add a bead, those bridges are going to get bigger, and that's what you want. So go ahead and do these repeats here, and then I'll show you the next step. So once you finish that repeat, you've got the 3 4, 5, 6, and 7 beads on your bridge, you can see how it starts out small, and as you roll it around and you get to the where you're at now, your bridges are getting longer and wider, and that's exactly what you want. From here on out, okay, so this is all that you're going to do for the increase. This is about 5.5 inches, because once you actually get started with the next step, you're going to continue with the next step until you're this length away from having the length of your necklace, which is about 6 inches. So, for here on out, you're going to be picking up 8 A's for your bridge, okay? 8 A's. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 A's and 1 B, and then you're going to continue on just like you normally would, doing your rows, and you'll be able to start seeing a really big spiral forming as you go down through it. For mine, this is what it's going to look like with your 8 beads on the bridge. It took about 96 beads, or 4mm bicones, which is your C color. It took about 96 of these to make the length for the center of the necklace. So you just want to continue until you are within 6 inches of your finished length, and then I'm going to show you how to do the decrease. I've worked and got a good bit of my necklace going, but the only problem is I have run out of thread. So I wanted to show you how I'm going to tie off the thread and then add new thread on this particular project. I don't want to put a lot of knots in this project because you'll see it and it won't be as pretty. So I'm coming out of my bicone like I normally would be, and I'm going to take and put a 1/2 hitch knot here. Just a regular old 1/2 hitch knot, and I'm only going to put one right there. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to stitch through my beads. And I'm basically going to follow the spiral, just going through the beads, and I'm going to use up as much of the thread as I can, just kind of following the spiral and following what it does, so that as I work through, you won't see my thread from bead to bead, because it will be going through the spiral like it should be. Once I've got only a short tail left here, I can go ahead and trim that thread. And now I'm ready to add my new thread. So I'm going to cut off 3 more yards. Okay, bear with me here for just a second. I have my 3 yards, and I'm going to go ahead and put the needle on it. And with using this 10-pound thread, you'll definitely want to use a size 10 needle. These 2 beads right here is where I ended, and this is where I want to start back. So I'm going to come down just a little ways, not too far down, and I'm going to come through a bicone, and I'm going to pull this thread, and I'm going to leave myself just enough basically to hold on to. And I'm going to stitch through the beads, following the spiral, following the beads here, till I come back out of the bead, the bicone at the top that I need to be exiting. This way, you're not having to tie on thread where you're going to see it where you've tied it on, but you're going to be stitching through the beads enough to where it's not going to come out, so you won't have to worry about it. Okay, so I'm coming out of the bicone that I ended with now, and I'm ready to start back, but I still have this thread down here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use another size 10 needle, thread that needle on there, and then again, just like I did with the other, I'm just going to take and I'm going to stitch through my beads following the spiral to get rid of this short piece of thread. So as you can see, you're going to be stitching through so much with this one little piece of thread that there's no way this sucker's coming out. Kind of like it was with my dramatically draped set. You're not going to have to worry about it ever coming out because you are going through quite a few beads here. And I'm going through them, you know, different beads, just making sure that I'm not skipping anything. And now I can take and I can trim this off, and then I can continue working. But right now I want to explain to you, basically we started out small, and as we went down we got bigger. So I want to explain to you face to face about some other options that you can do for this. So on this particular project, this particular sample, I ended my increase, I should say, at 8 beads. Now you can increase more, like if you want these bridges to be wider and longer and, you know, some more space between them, you can make the bridges longer. So you can do 12 repeats of 8, 12 repeats of 9, 12 repeats of 10. You can make them as big as you want to. Just remember that you have to decrease it back down as much as you increased it. So you'll have to find kind of like a middle point if you keep increasing so that you can start to decrease. With the way that I figured it out here with the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and then continuing with 8, I already know that 6 inches is taken up with the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to need basically 12 inches for that, 6 on each side, and then however much more I want for the necklace is just going to be that center part. So that's the biggest thing that you need to think about when you're doing this, because that is going to add some more beads. You're going to need more beads, and you're going to need more threads. That's one thing that you might want to think about. But you know, have fun with it. Get these as big as you want, or you know, if you wanted to stop at 7 or 6 or even 3, like you just wanted to do 3 all the way down, you can do that, because that is what the bracelet is. The bracelet is just 3 all the way around. So if you just wanted the necklace just like that, you could totally do that. It's completely up to you. But just have fun with the pattern and enjoy it, because it's a quick process and it's great results. So just do that, and then I'm going to show you again, like I said, I'm going to continue with the 8, and then I'm going to show you how to start to do the decrease. Once you have your 96 repeats, or however many repeats you want to do, then you're ready to start decreasing. So just like we did in the beginning, where we increased 12 threes, 12 fours, 12 fives, 6, 7, we're going to decrease in that order. So you just finished your 8s, so you're going to do 12 decreases with 7 A's, then 12 with 6 A's, 12 with 5 A's, 12 with 4 A's, and then 12 with 3 A's. So instead of doing our increases where we increased in our number, now we're going to actually work the opposite way and decrease our numbers. Once you've completed all your repeats, this is what your piece should look like thus far. This end, our beginning end, is already kind of together, zipped up. This end, however, is still wide open, so we have to fix that. So I'm coming out of a bicone just like I should be when I finish the round, and I'm going to pick up 2 11s. These are my A's. Instead of picking up an 8 after it, I'm just going to go through the 8. So I'm just doing 2 A's. Then I'm going through the 8 sticking up, which is my B, and then through my 4 millimeter, just the top one. And then you want to go through that again, pulling it nice and tight so it pulls all that back together, just like the beginning. So that this is what your end will look like. Now you're ready to add the closure. And you can use any kind of closure you want, but you're going to need 2 round beads, and these need to be 8mm to add on the ends here for your closure. On this one, I've used a toggle clasp. And on this one, I'm actually going to use a button. I love these Swarovski buttons. I have had these in hiding. I feel like a little hoarder. I've had these in hiding for a little while. I'm waiting for a really good project to use them with, and I think this is great because you can either use the foil side for the metallic silver, or you can use the crystal AB side. So what I'm going to show you today is how to use your button as the closure, but I'll also show you, walk you through the toggle. When you pick your bead that you decide to use, you want to make sure that it has a sufficient hole size. If you pick something like a pearl that has a smaller hole, it's not gonna work out good for you. So I'm coming out of the 4mm bicone, my C, and I'm gonna drop down my bead. And that is what I want it to look like, so that one will work. And I'm gonna attach my button to this end. So I'm going to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 11s. I'm going to go up through the buttonhole, attach 3 11s, and then go down through the other buttonhole. So this is what it will look like. Now I'm not loving my bead count there, so I'm going to show you how easy this is to take care of. All I have to do is run it back down through, and I'm going to drop this back down to 4. I'm only going to use 4 11s here in the beginning with this button. If you have a button that has a shank on the back, all you'll do is pick up, in the same way with a clasp, you'll pick up however many seed beads you need, so say 6, and then you'll go through the whole of the clasp and then back down. So here's what it looks like so far. I'm going to pick up 3 more 11s. Because remember, I dropped this down to 4. So I'm going to pick up 3 more 11s, and I'm going to go back down through the first 11 that I strung, and then the 8mm round, and pull. And that's good. That's exactly what I want there for my clasp. So then I'm coming out of the 4mm, so then I'm going to go through the next 2 11s. So the very next 2 beads there in that set. This time I'm going to go up through the 8, through the 1 little bead there, through the 3 on the side and the button, through the 3 above the button, back down through, and then all the way back down through the 8mm bead again. So I'm just going through and reinforcing. That's a really good thing about how this is going to work out, because you're going to get a lot of good reinforcement in this clasp. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the 8 right next to where I'm coming out. I'm going to go up and do the reinforcement. Then I'll go through the next 8, go through and do the reinforcement, and then when I come back down, I'll be going through that 4mm one more time, and then I'll show you how to finish it off. So once you've gone all the way around, your bead is centered and anchored right above that last little loop of beads that you have. So from this point, all you're going to do is tie off this thread, and then you'll put your needle onto this end, and you're going to do this end the same exact way that you did this end. The only difference is you'll be making your bead loop. So let me get this end finished off, and I'll show you that. So on the side with my loop, I threaded on 26 of the size 11 seed beads, and that fit over my button really well. So you can see there, it's a really good clasp for this necklace. If you want to actually put your clasp on there, I basically did it the same exact way, and I did this one 2 different ways so you can kind of see. This one I have come out of the bead, I've threaded on 4 11s, my clasp, and 3 11s. Then I went back down through that first 11 again, so that way it holds it into place like this. The other side, I didn't put any beads on there. I just had the wire or the thread wrap around the loop. So you can kind of do it either way, but for a bar, you have to do it this way, so that way it'll work out the way you need it to. But you can add a clasp, you can do the button, kind of whatever you want to do with it. So it's a really easy and quick ending for the piece. So I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to do the Dutch spiral and how to do the necklace for the bracelet now. This, like I said, this is just a suggestion. If you want to make it, you know, bigger, smaller, you can definitely do that. If you want to do the ends different, you can definitely do that. So I hope you guys, again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we do have the pattern for sale on our website, offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com, and we have 2 color kits. The 2 that I showed you here, it's a really pretty green and brown, and then a silver and black. Those will be available also on our website. So be sure and come back next week for another great video. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.